and welcome back to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I'm Casey, and today these are the earrings that I will be making. It is a relatively simple bead weaving set of earrings, and as you can see, I made two different sizes using the same method. Now, most of the parts that I used to make these two sets of earrings came from the summer Bling Fling treasure bag, and I made two different sizes on purpose just to show that this method can be used with different sizes. However, there are multiple different beads in this treasure bag that you could use to make these, to make this style of earrings. However, you definitely do not have to have this treasure bag to make these earrings. The supplies required for this particular style are very standard as far as the round beads, the seed beads, and the smaller rondelles, and the rondelles can be switched out for like 6/0 seed beads. So the beads required for this are pretty standard. If you're interested in her future treasure bags, I'll have the link down below where you can sign up for notifications, because this one is sold out and they are one-of-a-kind bags. So once they are sold out, they are gone. However, if you sign up to be notified when the next one comes out, then you can be one of the first ones. If you would like to see how these earrings came about, then stay tuned. All right, so let's get into it. The tools that I will be using today, I will be using my set of cutters, and I will be using a size 10 beading needle, which I've already strung. And what I have it strung with is the Beadsmith Fireline, and I'm using 8 pounds. I get the 125 yards, so it'll last a little bit longer, in the color Crystal, which is this white color. The beads that I'm going to be using today are the 8mm imitation jade electroplated peach round beads, and I will be using the 4.5 by 3.5 coral rondelle beads. And I'm also going to be using these 11/0 seed beads, which are these right here. I get the check glass beads and the color metallic. Let's see if I can get it without the glare. There we go. In the color metallic silver. And I'm using the size 11/0. The way we're going to start this, you're not going to need very much string. I started with about 3 feet, and that's probably going to be a little bit too much, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. I'm not a big fan of adding string on, although you certainly can do that. I'd rather have too much in the beginning. I have approximately 3 feet, 3.5 feet, somewhere in there. I'm going to start by picking up 4 of the large peach beads. And everything is sort of built around the 4 peach beads. So the way I do it is I'm going to take those and take them all the way to the end. And you don't need that much of a tail because you're not going to be sewing anything with the tail. So here's how I do it. I'm holding the string on either end of the 4 right there at the other end. You can see the other end, and I'm going to string right back through all 4. And I'm hanging onto that tail right here with the same hand. I'm hanging onto that tail. I strung back through, and I'll pull that through, back through all 4 of those beads. So now you're gonna have that, it looks like kind of a string between them like that, the string hanging off to the side. So now I'm gonna take this needle and string back through just the last bead. just that last one. And this is going to make it a set of 4, like this. So it'll stack them up like this when you put it through just that last one, okay? And now that it's through like this, make it kind of snug. And I'm going to string it all the way through until both of my ends are coming out of this side. So I'm gonna go back through this corner. I'm gonna go all the way around. And then back through. So now both ends are coming out of the same gap. So I'm going to set my needle down. And now I'm just going to tie it off right here. Tie a simple knot. One side over the other. Pull it snug. Do it one more time. One side over the other. Pull it snug. And you've got your knot right there. Pull it snug. And now I'm going to cut off that tail. I'm going to go in as close as you can, but you definitely don't want to cut off the knot. So there we go, just like that. And if you want to, you can burn that down a little bit, kind of singe it. So now you have it wrapped around actually 3 times in there now, and you have 1 string that's hanging off, okay? And this is your active thread that has the needle on it. All right, so now from this point, this is how I'm holding it. It's coming off of my right, all right, on the right side. So I have it coming out of the middle right there. So I'm gonna go through 1 bead, one of the 8mm. So now it's not coming out of the center, right out of that knot. It's actually coming out of a bead this way. So you put it through 1, and now it's coming out like this. So I'm gonna pick up 1 rondelle, go through the next bead. I'm gonna do this all the way around. 1 rondelle, go through the next one. All right, and you're gonna do the same thing to each side. We'll meet back up. All right, so now you have a rondelle coming out of each side. Now we're going to add one 11/0, and you're gonna put 1 in each gap on either side of the rondelle. So you pick up 1, go through the rondelle. Just like that. Pick up 1 more, go through the 8mm. Just like that. And so each side is going to have a 11/0 seed bead on either side. Now don't be worried at this point if they're looking a little funky, kind of hanging off to the side, because when you connect them all, they will line back up. So right now you're just getting an 11/0 just like this on each side. So I'll do 1 more side here. Pick up 1 11/0, go through the rondelle, 1 11/0, go through the 8mm. All right, you can sort of line them up, but like I said, don't get too worried if it's looking a little funky on each side at this point. All right, so do that, get 1 11/0 on each side. All right, so here we go. We should have 1 11/0 on either side of each rondelle. All right, don't worry about them looking a little funky at this point, but this is where we're at right now. All right, so now we are going to connect each side. So at this point, when I added that last 11/0, I came through the 8mm, just the 8mm, so that is where my string is coming out when I added that last 11/0, okay? So what we're going to do is go through the 11/0 where we started. And if you can do it in one go, you can go ahead and do it this way, but you're going to go through the 11/0 and through the rondelle, and then through the next 11/0. So you want to have your thread coming out of that 11/0, just like this. So the next step is adding the 11/0s around that 8mm. So you're going to pick up 7 11/0s. So just like that, you want 7 11/0s. Then you're going to go through that next, you're going to go around that bead and go through the next 11/0. And you can go ahead and go through that rondelle. If you can make it all in one go. Sometimes it can be difficult to go all the way across, but if you can go through that 11/0 in the rondelle, go ahead. When you pull it through, it's going to wrap those around just like that, and then go through the next 11/0 right next to it. So you should have it like that, where the 11/0s are wrapped around. And we'll do one more together. So we're going to pick up 7. All right, so again, I have 7 11/0s. And I'm going to go into that next 11/0. And if you can go ahead and do it, go through the 11/0 and the next rondelle. Pull it through and get it where it's wrapped around. I'm going to go ahead and go through that next 11/0. Just like that. All right, so do the same thing for the other 2 sections. All right, so here we are. Currently, my string is coming out of that rondelle. I went when I added those last 7, I went through that 11/0 that was there, and I went through the rondelle. So I'm coming out of that rondelle. I have not gone back through any 11/0s on this side. So I'm coming out of that rondelle, and I have wrapped around all of the seed beads. So the next step is to add the embellishment across the earring. From this point, I'm going to pick up 5 11/0s. So I have 5 11/0s, 1 rondelle right in the middle, and then 5 more 11/0s. So this is what you should have on your needle. So you have 5 11/0s, 1 rondelle, 5 more 11/0s. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of push it down on the string a little bit so I have more control over the needle. So now I'm going to go through the same side of the opposite rondelle of where I'm at. So I'm coming out right here. I'm going to go through just the rondelle on this side, but I'm going to go through that same side. Okay, so make sure you're not going through any 11/0s. So you're just going through that rondelle just like that and pulling it through. So it's going to look just like that. And then pick up 5 11/0s, 5 11/0s, and then coming out of this side of the rondelle, you're going to go through just that rondelle in the middle, just like that. Kind of hold it down a little bit and pull through. Make it kind of snug. So right now that's what it's looking like. And then pick up 5 more. So I got 5 more. And I'm going through that same side that I'm on right now. So just the rondelle, make sure you're not going through any 11/0s. So just like that. All right. And you might, sometimes I'll hold it down like I did before with my thumb to pull it kind of snug so it all kind of stays in place. So right now, this is what it should look like. Got that kind of embellishment right there in the front. So I want these to be two-sided, so we're gonna do this exact same thing on the other side. So right here, I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm coming out right here of that rondelle. So I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. I'm going to pick up 5 11-0s. So this is what I'm gonna have on my needle again. You have 5 11-0s, a rondelle, and 5 11-0s. And on the same side that we're coming out right here, we're going to go through on this side. So just like that, and I'm gonna pull it down. Kind of move it with your thumb, get it where it needs to be, just like that. So now I'm gonna pick up 5 11-0s. I'm gonna go through that rondelle in the center, pull it through. Just like that. Kind of push it down a little bit. A lot of times when things are in progress, you just kind of have to finagle it where you want it to be. So I picked up 5 more. And now I'm going through that rondelle on the opposite side from up here, but I'm going through the same side that I just came out of. And as I just did right there, you see my needle went through the very next 11-0 because they're kind of lined up straight now. You want to make sure you do not do that. So make sure that as you're going through these rondelles that you don't accidentally go through any 11-0s. So you're coming out just like that. And then you can pull it snug. And then just kind of use your thumb to get everything where it needs to be. So now our piece should be completed on both sides. And that way, whichever way your earring is facing, they both look the same. It's definitely two-sided. So now we're going to make the top part that connects to the ear wire. All right, so I am currently coming out of this side right here of the rondelle, not of the 11-0s. I'm coming out of the rondelle. So here is what I have added to my needle. I have 4 11-0s, 1 rondelle, and 3 11-0s. So I have 4, then 1 rondelle, then 3 11-0s. So I'm going to go ahead and push this down on the string, and then I'm going to go through the ear wire. I'll make sure no 11-0s come through it. So this is what you should have right now. All of those beads were pushed down, and then you have the ear wire hanging off right here. So now I'm going to go back through those first 3 11-0s and the rondelle, but then I'm going to come out. So don't go through those last 4, okay? Go through those first 3 and the rondelle. So what I'm gonna do is kind of hang on to it with my thumb and pull it through. And it's gonna pull that ear wire on up because you're sewing it to that. And you can also kind of hang on to that ear wire and make it snug as well. So now you have this, and I'm going to pick up four more 11 O's, and I'm going to go through the rondelle here at the bottom. And you definitely want to make sure you go through just the rondelle and none of the 11 O's. So I'm going to pull that through. All right, so now this is what you got so far. Okay, pull that through. And now I'm going to pick up one 11O and go back through the first line. So we're going to go through all this again to reinforce it. So I picked up one 11O and I'm going through the 4 that I added, the 11O, and the 3 all at one time. If you need to go through like a couple different things that, you know, these 4 and then 1 and then 3 at a time, that's fine. But if you can work it through all of them at the same time, that's good. And then I'm going to hang on to the beads and pull my needle through. And then now I'm coming out of that last 11O. I'm going to go through that ear wire. So I'm going to flip everything over. And then you can tell which one because sometimes it can be confusing. You added that one bead right here and you haven't added it on this side yet. So you know you're going to go back through those beads at the top, through the rondelle, and back through the 4 beads on this side. So I'm going to hold those and pull my needle through. So right now, I'm coming out of the 4 11Os on this side. And I'm going to pick up one 11O and go back through the rondelle. Ooh, I went through a whole bunch of 11Os there. So make sure that I back up and that I only go through that rondelle. Just like that. All right, that kind of tightens everything up there. So now I've gone through it twice, and you can go through it a third time if you like. I'm only going to go through it twice. I feel like it's pretty well reinforced because it's not very heavy. So I feel like going through it all twice is pretty secure. So there it is. So now I'm going to knot it off. So I'm going to go down this way. Just go through this particular side. You can knot it off at any point, but I'm going to go down through here and go down to right before this rondelle. So again, if you look super close, you can see both of the strings holding that first 11O, going right in between them. I'm gonna pull it kind of snug. Pull my needle through. And get that knot right next to that rondelle. And then get close as I can with my cutters. And then you can obviously burn that tip down, you know, if you'd like. And then there is the earring. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and make the other one, because obviously you would need 2. And then we will meet back up. You can just go back in the video and follow the same process. here are my pair of earrings, and I do want to show one thing. I made another set of earrings following that same pattern with other beads in this box, just to show that you can follow the same pattern. And the beads that I used for this pair, I used the same 11-0 seed beads, and I used the 6mm round dyed glass pearls, and then I used the 4x3 millimeter rondelles in indigo. And the only thing I had to adjust in the pattern is the number of seed beads that I used going around. On these, I used 7. In addition to the 2 seed beads that I put there, I used 7 in between. And on this one, I still did the same thing where I added the initial 11-0 seed bead on either side. And then I only had to use 4 seed beads in the middle of each section. Also, on this one in the middle, I used the 5 seed beads. I had 5 and then the rondelle and then 5 more. On this one, as you can see, I used 3 and then the rondelle. So it was the exact same pattern, just kind of adjusting the seed beads for size. And then of course I adjusted this part up here as well. And I just had 2 seed beads on top instead of the 3 that I had over here. So just kind of showing that you can use this method with different beads, same idea, and just adjusting the seed beads for the size of your focal beads. So I will set this up on my display and we can see them a little better. All right, so here they are. Of course, this is the pair I made here in the video. And this is the pair that I showed there at the end, just to show that this method can be used with different beads. And I really like these earrings. I think they're super cute and very easy to wear. And I think it could be changed into a bracelet, where this could be like the segment to a bracelet, and then you just kind of add a connector in between and have these as the segments to the bracelet. I think it would look very nice, but I like them as earrings, and I am very happy with how they came out. And I definitely think there are even more beads in the treasure bag that can be used for this particular style. Although the beads that are required to make these are decently generic size beads, and I really even think that where I use those rondelles, you could possibly use, 6-0 seed beads, something like that. I just think it's very, very flexible. So you definitely don't have to have the treasure bag to make these. However, there are multiple beads within that treasure bag that you can use to make these. So if you like this video and you want to see other videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. Please tell me what you think of these earrings. I would love to hear your opinion. And I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.